All right, welcome back. So, if right now you're struggling dealing with A type personalities who tend to have a little bit higher of an ego, so you're having a hard time really asking the right questions, using your tone to get them to open up and admit their problems, if that sounds like something you're running into, then I think this call review is going to be beneficial for you. Because in this call review, I'll be breaking down one of my clients' calls where she ran into the exact same issue and how to ask the right questions with the right tone to actually start to get them to open up more. So if you don't know who I am, my name is Christian Polk. So I've been in the online selling business for over the past 4 years. So I've sold anywhere from B2B SaaS to online coaching programs, both B2B and B2C. And for the past 2 years, I've been with Jeremy Miner in 7th Level, where I've also been a sales coach, and I've helped thousands of clients in hundreds of different industries ask better questions, overcome objections, use their tone, all that fun stuff. So getting into the call, just a little bit of background. So what the offer is, it's to help men, typically older, learn the right skills on how to find and date the quality of women that they're looking for. Okay. So this person has an ego that's a little bit caught into that. So they're not really wanting to admit some of the problems that they're running into. So I dive into how we can use our tone, get them to be more open. If you find this helpful, I would really appreciate it if you you subscribe. But if you want help from me specifically, you can always just reach out to me on Facebook. So let's dive on into it. Get everything all figured out.
Oh, there we go.
Yes, I'm well. I'm well, just trying to stay out of trouble. How about you?
The same, or at least not get caught. That's that's the main thing for me. Yeah. It's a pleasure. It's a
Awesome.
pleasure to meet you. What is your name? Okay, yeah, it's beautiful. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Awesome. Pleasure to meet you too. So I know you originally booked onto my calendar today to talk about getting some possible help in the dating ball game, right?
Yeah, yeah. You all are persistent with with making contact, which I think is good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought that I would get on and at least see, introduce myself and go
Right.
from there.
Okay, awesome. Well, to start off with, how long have you even been?
So something you want to do, like, okay, so what he did, and it's very subtle, is he shifted the power dynamics very subtly. Said like, okay, well, like you booked in this call, and he's like, well, you guys are very persistent. Okay, so now he's saying like, well, you guys really reach out to me rather than it be the other way around. So it's like, okay, but what? I guess what did you see, or what was it about, like what you saw that really made you want to take an hour out of your precious time to come talk to me? Like he still came talk to you. So again, we need to just shift it back. So again, that's something that's very subtle that prospects will try to do, is to take your power away. Again, they're the one reaching out for help. They have the problems. So again, just a subtle thing you can do to just take it back.
Following Mark?
Maybe about a year, I'm thinking something like that.
Oh,
A
well, so
year?
that's quite a
Okay,
while.
so you've been following her for a year, I guess. Like, what has she been going over that even had you wanting to look into us further?
I don't know if it was specifically content
Uh-huh.
versus just I don't know, just her energy and the way that she presents herself and
Oh,
somewhat the content, but she just seems very genuine relative to other
okay.
things that I've seen online or that friends or colleagues have told me about.
Yeah.
So I think there would have been something specific, but I don't recall what it is
Mm,
specific. But I know that I
okay.
purchased a package
Yeah.
that I have never opened or used or any of that type of thing. So that might be how.
Okay. So again, now that is something that I would always like put it in the back of my head. If they've purchased something like a smaller tier product or something along those lines, and they've done nothing with it. So specifically when we're dealing with the like the top half of solution awareness, that's when we're really gonna need to like attack an action of like, you've even bought some things and have done nothing about this. Like what's really prevented you? So that's just something to keep in mind.
Be how I'm on your radar screen.
Okay, got you. Cool. So how we usually do these calls, it's really
So again, he's like, and it's super subtle, but it's something you really need to be aware of. Is he again like, I'm on your radar screen, you came out to him, but that's not the case. He booked in time. So like that's why you need to start to shift that immediately to like basically tell them like, you took an hour out of your time to come talk to me, or 30 minutes, however these long these calls are, to really shift that back, to really put him more in the position of like, why is he here, not what do you guys have because you keep on bugging me, right? So we need to make that shift.
really simple. It's like more for us to understand like what's going on in your dating life right now, what results you're getting from that compared to where you're wanting to be, and really see what that gap looks
Good
like
hand
to see if we
signals.
can come in and help you out potentially. And if you feel like we might be what you're looking for towards the end of this call, then we could talk about next possible steps. Would that help?
Okay, yeah, no, that sounds great. That sounds great.
Perfect.
And
Awesome. So
I
I
will
guess
be as candid as I can with any answers to any questions that you give me, yeah, just so that we can both make
Yeah.
a good assessment.
yeah, of course, awesome. So just, yeah, I guess
Yeah, I would hope you would be open and candid with me for sure. Right? So it's like you kind of play around with him a bit, but then you're also rewarding the fact that he said he's going to be candid and open.
like what were you kind of hoping would possibly happen by us working together?
I don't know. I don't. You haven't asked me this. Maybe they did in the
Uh huh.
little survey, but the fact of the
Right.
matter is, my social life is pretty active.
Okay.
Is as active as I can handle,
Yeah.
but not necessarily the quality, should I say, of
Oh.
quality of people that I'm looking for. So maybe I don't know if there's a way to help in that regard,
Uh huh.
but I don't know. So as far as what an end game
What do you mean by quality though?
might look like for me, that would be helpful. I don't know until we do a little bit more, uh, have a little bit more dialogue. But I don't have
Yeah.
anything real specific in mind. Oh,
Sure.
it's
Okay.
easy for me to
Gotcha.
meet
He did just say like it's not the quality they like. So that is the problem. That's where the conversation needs to be taken.
people and talk, and that type of thing is pretty easy for me generally.
Sure. Got you. So I guess like walk me through what you're doing now to meet quality women. I know
Okay,
you
and
said you go through social gatherings and stuff, but like, yeah, walk me through that.
it's something. I know I don't go to a lot of social gatherings unless I'm in a work environment. So
Mm,
I will say again, just being candid and not.
So the reason why like that question may or may not land is we just don't have the context going into it, because he said something that's very broad. They're not the quality of people I want to be hanging around. It's like it's such a broad statement that you don't know what he means by that. So just ask him, well, what do you mean by like they're not the quality? And then that's going to give you a little bit more direction.
There isn't any pretense by, but I'm relatively high profile in what I do in my area,
Uh
my
huh.
geographic area.
Right.
And so I go to a lot of social events because I'm invited as
Yeah.
the head of
mm,
a nonprofit, or I'm performing or something of
Okay.
that nature. And when I meet people in that
Uh huh.
environment, they are part of my sphere, for lack of a better term.
Right.
And I'm
hmm
pretty private,
hmm
very private. So that
Okay.
the idea of establishing certain kinds of relationships with people in that sphere is usually not real attractive to me. Although, I mean, I have done
mm,
it, but the idea of, oh, I'm dating or whatever, I'm
hmm
not 100% comfortable with that. with that
Absolutely.
being out there all the time,
Yeah.
Absolutely. Definitely. So what are you doing to be able to meet the type of woman that you are looking for?
Um, probably not a whole lot proactively, you know, sort of happenstance. I will say, and I may
Uh-huh.
have said before, I've been told
Yeah.
on numerous occasions, or at least several occasions, yeah, you're too busy and you work too much to really date. I've been told this quite a bit, and I
Hmm.
believe it, but it's not like I'm a workaholic. It's not that type of thing. So, in answer to your question, nothing really, I would say nothing that proactive as far as going out and meeting the
Okay.
types of
Well, why is that?
quality, but yeah,
So
I don't know,
so how long have you kind of been doing nothing?
3 years, I would say.
Oh, wow.
3 years? Well,
Yeah, as far as being proactive, yeah. So,
as far as
Uh-huh.
being proactive, well, what kind of marked you? Was there something that happened that caused you to not be so proactive 3 years ago, or?
no. It's
Uh-huh.
okay. I dated and was married for a total of 32 years.
Wow.
Mhm.
So most people know me in that environment. So
Yeah.
the last 3 years or so is after my divorce. I
Yeah.
didn't spend much time going out and trying to
Okay.
be proactive. Well, I did. I spent a little time, and
Yeah.
what I ran into was not what I was looking for.
Oh.
And
Ha-
it
What did you
wasn't
run
negative.
into?
Um, the type of women that I was meeting out in certain kinds of social situations or
Mhm.
online or what have you.
What was the
Um,
type of women that you were meeting? Like, what
yeah,
were they like?
yeah, uh, some interesting. All the way that I would describe it would be very result driven. So from the standpoint, we might meet and converse 2 or 3 times, and then they will say, "Okay, I want to be exclusive. I want you to. I've decided that you're the person that I'm going to communicate with exclusively now. Can we do
Hmm.
that type
And
of
what was
thing?"
miss and what
What
was
was
missing from
missing?
them? Yeah, like what would cause you to not want to be exclusive and want to be in a relationship with them?
In most cases, we just didn't know each other that well. They knew very little about me. Those in that situation, they
Yeah.
knew very little about me. Um, so for me, that kind of immediate sort of commitment was a little bit off-putting because we hadn't known each other that well. They don't
That's
know.
fair.
Yeah, they
Right.
don't
That's
know.
fair.
But we also need to dive into the quality aspect, right? Like, okay, well, they're wanting to dive right into commitment, but are they of like the type of quality? Is he talking to the like the type of quality, whether it be attractiveness, or like whatever he would define as that? Like, that's why we need to know what he meant by quality. But are they meeting that standard? And if he's not wanting to commit to any of them, I assume not, right? So then we got to understand, okay, what do you feel like is causing you to have these conversations or go on dates with women who just aren't the quality that we're looking for? Like, what do you feel like is actually missing?
If they really want to be,
Yeah,
exclusive to me because they don't know me that well.
absolutely.
It's that type of
Okay.
thing.
Okay, got you. And I guess like what's caused you to kind of you've been going like, doing the same thing for the past 3 years, not really being so proactive. Like, I guess what's caused you to want to try something else now?
Yeah, there's again to be candid. There's
Uh-huh.
a term that you all use. I think it's something like one-itis or something like that. I don't remember exactly what the term is. And so part of what
I think the pickup community and dating culture is pretty funny, just in general. That's a side note, but
was interesting or curious to me was there are a person or two in my sphere that
oh,
yeah, it would be. I know enough about them that it would be interesting to escalate things to a certain place, but I've known them for a long time.
Yeah.
One is not possible because they're married and they're married to a friend of mine. The
Hmm.
other, yeah, the other would be just a matter of, you all have talked about escalating things with friends
Yeah.
that have been friends for a long
Sure.
time.
Uh-huh.
That would be a little bit of interest, but it's one-itis. In my case, it would be one-itis, if that's the right term.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
I think it's a term that I heard Marnie use, meaning being um, focused on trying to get the attention of
Oh,
one
yeah.
particular person. Yeah,
Got
Yeah.
you.
and generally that's not me, but there is a person who, I mean, is of interest to me, and it seems to be mutual. But we've been friends for a long time. They were a former employee of mine, so there are a
Mm.
couple of things that
Yeah.
for me, they're you know um, that I would have to navigate, at least in my own mind.
But besides just navigating some of those different social things, like what's actually prevented you? Well, you probably ask, well, how long have you been feeling this way about them? And then besides some of those different social things, like what do you feel like's actually prevented you from, escalating things? Or at least trying.
On mine,
Because then like that's going to lead more to a skill gap of how do we escalate.
but that that person is not the beacon necessarily. But if there's a person that I'm looking for, they would have these particular qualities. It's
Yeah.
that type of thing. And I
Uh,
only know of one person, at least so far. So I'm looking for someone who maybe has similar qualities
Uh-huh.
sure.
that might, yeah. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
Yes, like this person has ideal qualities, but there's some factors that are like preventing you from really progressing, including learning how to escalate or including knowing how to escalate, but they've also been your friend for
So I so again we're assuming a bit with the problem, right? So he said like that would be interest of me, but he hasn't expressly said that he doesn't know how to escalate. So we need to ask a question in a way to get him to say that. Because the problem is if we allow him to, he touched on it a bit, but his main focus was on external things, right? Like I've known her for a long time. I used to be her boss, like all these different things that like you can't help him with. Those are going to be things set in place. That's a life that's external. We need to ask a question to get him to talking more about what he's missing internally that's preventing him from changing his situation.
quite some time, and you're like, okay, this is a possibility, but it's not what I'm exactly focused on. This is a great example of what
I
I'd
would
like to
say
be
that,
with, though. Is my
right, right.
understanding it
That's a
correctly?
very good, you're understanding me that was very accurate.
Okay, cool. So I guess like for you, like with the results you have been getting, like what's your reasoning for wanting that, potential possible outside help or coaching instead of just going solo and just seeing if things work out and if, you can potentially find somebody else, like most guys do. Like,
Yeah, so yeah, again, to be candid,
Mm-hmm.
it's been more about what I admire about you all, but you've been persistent. But the
Yeah.
way that I've seen things is like, I don't, not that I don't need coaching. Again, I'll be 100% candid with you. Most people that, if they were to describe me, they would describe me as a ladies' man. I'm not a player, but I enjoy the company of women more than most men. Um,
mhm.
eh, but I'm not a player. I'm not out and doing, a whole lot of things. So the idea of, it's very easy for me to talk and meet new people. And like I say, I'm relatively high profile in the profession that I am engaged. So
But what's actually preventing you from being able to, escalate with the type of quality of women that you're actually looking for? Like we need to stick on the problem because like a lot of the problem or the big thing that we're running into right now is he's been married for a long time. He's also, known in the community. He has a certain type of image of himself, of being very comfortable talking to women. So he's having a hard time admitting that he wants help. Okay. So we need to be even more precise with our questions and where we're taking the conversation, because he's not going to come outright and say it. So right now he's trying to protect himself and protect his ego. Like that's really what's happening right now. It's not that he doesn't need help, or he doesn't, like he knows he doesn't have the skills to do what he wants. It's just like it's hard for him to admit, because he does have an ego attached with him being well known. Right? So that's really what it comes down to here.
People tend to know at least my name, or in my little area. It's not a big. So that type of thing is okay. For me, our talking right now helps me to evaluate whether I need, coaching, as you say.
Okay.
Yeah. So and this is going to be a big downside to just letting people ramble on and on, because you have to understand, people think by talking oftentimes. This is the first time. Again, he's been following her, taking tips and tricks here, but like he finally was compelled enough to, hop on a call. Then we need to direct his thinking to focus on, again, like, what are the actual problems? What is he missing? What is that leading to? What actual impact is that having on him? So we need to have a more directed conversation on what's actually missing. Why does he feel like, what does he feel like he's missing right now that's causing him not to be able to escalate on the type of women that are of quality in his mind? Oh, like this, and this. You can expand a little bit more. Like, what do you feel like is missing? Like, what might be causing that? What does that typically lead to? How does that make him feel? Right? So we need to really be able to pull out these problems. And because we're not interjecting when we need to, or we're not redirecting when we need to, and he's allowing himself to ramble on, he starts to, because of his ego is so attached to the way he views himself, he's starting to talk himself out of, well, no, I don't really need help. So that's what's happening right now. He does need help, very clearly. Like, it's been 3 years, and he hasn't been able, well, he's met 2 women that are of quality that he thinks in his mind, but hasn't been able to escalate with either one of them. Okay, one of them being married, right? But besides the point. So it's like, what's been preventing him from, like, number one, finding, if he doesn't want those women, what's preventing him from finding other women of that type of quality? Or number two, what's prevented him from escalating on the woman that he does know who is that quality? And like, how long has he known her, right? But he's been single for the past 3 years. He's been dating for the past 3 years. What's preventing him in the past 3 years of doing anything about it? There is no way that he can then just continue to say like he doesn't really have problems, because it's like he had like, and again, that's why we need to be precise with the questions that we're asking. And let me know if you have any specific questions on those.
Okay, got you.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah,
So outside of speaking to me today, like, have you looked into any outside help to get you, back into the dating ball game, learn those relationship skills, and eventually find that quality woman you are looking for? Like, have you looked into any outside help
No.
to help you with
No.
that? No?
Right.
Well, I guess,
Yeah.
like, what's prevented you from doing that in the past?
I haven't seen a need. So
Oh, you haven't seen any.
again, to be candid, and I don't know if I'm saying this accurately, but yeah, my social life is as active as I would want it to be, with a variety of friends and acquaintances and meeting people and them saying,
Right.
okay, yeah, Oh, you're the one that I'm interested in. We need to be exclusive. All of that type of thing. And and I back away. I tend to back away a little bit from that. And also the people, others that I've known for a long time,
Yeah.
and they are, oh wow, I can't believe that I'm with James, and I can't believe this, and oh, can I put this on social media, or can I? Oh,
Hmm.
they won't believe that we're here. I get a lot of that, which is I'm not. That's not good for me
Yeah, you
as
want
a
something more
private person.
authentic.
So again, like he, again, and it's due to like him, like with like just the way he views himself. So again, he's telling you about like it's active, but if you notice, he never says it's where he wants it to be. So there still are things missing. So we need to get him to focus on like what's actually missing. Now he's talking about like he's with these people or with these girls. He's not really being super direct. It's hard to decipher what he's actually saying. But if I had to take a guess, he's with women who are, either not used to his lifestyle, that he probably can't tell if they just like him or his lifestyle, and the women who are more used to that lifestyle, who are of higher quality. Again, this is going to be a shot in the dark. You don't know unless you ask. He's not able to escalate or move things forward with them. So he still doesn't have what he wants, but he just keeps going back that it's active. But that's not like, again, like you just have to understand he's not really answering or being direct with some of these different things. Okay, so it's like just need to sit in the pocket a bit, probe, understand what he's actually saying, and then dig deeper on like what's actually missing and why in the past 3 years, if he knows it has been missing, he's done nothing about it.
That's not good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay, well, let's say we were able to like come in and we were able to teach you,
Yeah, and I see what happened there. Like he was starting to go down a rabbit hole and you didn't know how to get out of it, which is fine. So you just moved on, which honestly is probably the best option you could go, is if like you're going down a rabbit hole and it's like you don't really know where to go. And he's really more just convincing himself that, yeah, things are still active. That's like, okay, we don't know where to go. But what needs to happen, like if we have a better problem and really been able to flesh that out, we're not going to run into that right there. We might, but we're not going to typically. If we do, you're like, well, what do you say like as active? Oh, well, I'm seeing people and things like that. But again, like, are they the type of quality that you're really like looking for? So what's prevented you in the past 3 years of finding ways that you can actually start attracting or escalating on the type of quality of women that you've been looking for? Okay. And if you didn't see a need, it's like, well, why didn't you see a need? Like what shifted for you here more recently that, just makes it to where, because I'm sure you just didn't wake up today and be like, okay, now I want more quality women in my life, that wanted you to look into this and actually start taking this thing seriously. Like what shifted here more recently? Because typically, like what's going to happen? You just have to understand the psychology of the buyer. So especially if he's been following you guys for a year, he's getting all these emails, he's watching videos from time to time. Typically, what caused him to actually book is something that happened to him recently. So you like, it's good to get that out of him, because typically it's a problem that solidified what's been in the back of his head, or like something happened that solidified what's been in the back of his head as far as like the problems he's running into. Whether, he was dealing with, a girl that was of lower quality, or he saw a moment when he could have escalated on like a girl that he wanted to and he wasn't able to, like whatever it is. But if you take a look back here recently, what actually shifted for you that, had you wanting to look into getting that higher quality of woman and take this thing more seriously? Like he's going to have to give you something. And what he's going to give you is like a recent event that more solidified that problem in his mind.
advanced relationship skills like we do with our other clients. Like, I guess for you, being able to have those skills, being able to go out there and actually find a quality partner that meets your standards, like
Hmm.
what would that really do for you? And how would your life really be different than it is?
Now, something that is going to be very helpful, because when you talk about quality woman, it's very subjective and it's very ethereal, meaning it's up in the air, it's hard to define. So that started from the very beginning. Like, how do you mean by quality? And it's like, and then he did mention earlier, like, she has the type of qualities I'm looking for. How do you mean by that? Like, what type of qualities are you actually looking for? Or even like, let's say we don't get any of that information, we just ask kind of like beforehand, before we do go into that, like, what's your ideal outcome? Like, let's say we're able to come in here, really teach you those skills that you're looking for. Like, what are you really looking to get to? Like, what's your ideal outcome? And he's going to talk about, oh, I want to deal with more quality women, blah, blah, blah. Well, what does that actually mean? Can you paint me a picture? I want to use visual language to get him to actually start thinking about that quality woman. Is there like a body type? Is there, what type of qualities are you looking for? Like, really get him to paint the picture of his ideal situation, whether it be one girl, multiple girl, whatever it is. If it's one girl, I'd really get him to paint the picture of what that ideal girl looked like. If it's multiple girls, like, kind of walk me through, like, what type of women are you wanting to be dealing with? And then from there, so like, then let's say like you're able to have that dating life. Like, what actual difference would that make for you? And because it's a lot more tangible, and he just sat there like visualizing either the woman or women, then it's like, oh, like, it's going to be able to get a lot more tangible outcomes. The problem is right now, and I'll listen to it and see where it goes, is since it's like so ethereal, it's going to be very hard to get him to give you tangibles, like touch grass, like, make it real for him.
It is now being able to have that.
To be candid with you, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what.
See, there we go. See, he doesn't know because it's not real. So, like, just spending that extra time when they do say things like quality, or they have the type of qualities I'm looking for, spend some time, get him to expand on that. And going into it, just like, and you can probably pre-frame it a bit. It's like, I'm thinking about this on the fly. So it's like, yeah, and when you're dating, what we tend to notice is, yes, skills are important, but knowing what you actually want is probably just as important. So, and dating should be fun. So really paint me a picture. What does that ideal dating situation actually look like? Are you looking for like one girl to kind of settle down with? Or are you looking to date around? Like, what are you actually looking for? And they're going to tell you, right? So you can kind of paint the picture both ways. If they say like one girl, what's like, well, what does she actually like look like? What are the type of qualities that ideal person would have? Oh, this, and this. Like, and you kind of play around with them. Oh, does she have like long hair? What type of hair she have? Like, type of eyes, right? Get them to visualize something. Or if it's multiple girls, like, what type of women would you mostly be like dealing with? Are we dealing with what? You gonna be a guy that has like 20 women around, or like, ideally, like, what do you want that to look like? Oh, no, maybe like 3 or 4, and they'd be like this type of girl and things like that. Okay, yeah, man, I could definitely see it. So you being able to have like that, I guess, like that dating life where you had whatever they said they want. Like, what difference would that actually make for you? So now it's real. So just spend that extra time of like getting them to visualize what it actually is.
Know what that would look like different from where I am now. I just don't. I don't know. That's a very honest
Yeah,
answer.
that's fair. So is this important to you to actually have somebody in the
Yeah,
future?
I
Or
mean, I'm at that place in my journey. Yeah, that
why is it
to
important for you?
find, to find someone to share, someone
Yeah.
special to share with. Yeah, it's important.
Why is it important to you though? Why is it important to you
Uh,
now, I guess?
and because I'm a little bit tired of doing the
Tired?
variety of things and having to try to keep
Yeah.
people at bay, for lack of a better term. Um,
What do
yeah,
you mean by tired though?
that's again about the most
Yeah.
honest. Yeah,
Yeah, no, that's fair. I'm just really trying to understand you, that's all.
yeah.
So
So like, if we're just very light and curious, then it's going to make it very disarming. So sometimes when you are interjecting, it can come across just because like we're a little bit detached from the conversation, like we're not in it, we're not like yeah, and like interjecting throughout the conversation, then like we're kind of pausing and then asking the question or asking two questions at once. It can come across a little bit jarring in a way. Okay, so it's just something to be aware of. But even at this point, it's really like not that noticeable. He's just being a bit guarded. Okay, so it's just like we need to ask that extra question. Like, what do you mean by like tiresome? And like I'm just kind of have to like, you know, juggle multiple relationships, keep people at bay. But I guess like those people you're keeping at bay, like are those the type of women or type of people like you're really wanting to associate with, or like why are you trying to keep them at bay? Like what's going on? Oh, like they're not really the quality. Like he's gonna have to tell you like why he's keeping them at bay, and then like that's really where the gap is. The people who want him, he doesn't want, and the people he wants, he doesn't know how to get. So, and that just comes from, we need to be able to build that gap in his mind, make it more real in his head, and then that future picture is going to make a lot more sense.
So yeah, so you being able to actually like have that partnership at all, like, do you feel like if you could really think about it, like what would really change for you? Just having
What
that
would
woman by your
change?
side. Yeah.
Okay, the things that I
Mm-hmm.
do, I have someone to share those things with. I travel a lot as part of what I do.
Right.
I don't know if I mentioned,
Uh-huh.
and so having someone to, I don't know, travel on the European tour or go. I'm in the now. I'll be here for a couple of weeks. Then I'm performing in Colorado and spending. So having someone
With you,
specific,
yeah.
yeah, that type of thing, and
Yeah.
the people that I socialize with now, some of them would be okay, but then it's, oh, I can't believe I'm going to Colorado with you. Oh, yeah. It's
Mhm.
that type of thing, if that makes any
You want more of an
sense.
authentic relationship external from like you're the social pressures of it all.
I think that's a good
More
way, the
private.
way that you articulated it, the way that you articulated it, that's good. Yeah.
Okay, well, you having that authentic relationship, like, how would that really feel for you? Someone who you can travel with and like you can have.
So I would try to again like make it more real before we go for a feels question. Like how would things actually be different though? Like on a day to day, or you know throughout your life, like you having somebody who's there, who's authentic, who's of the quality you're wanting it to be. Like how would things actually be different then than they are now? Oh, with this, and this, and it's like okay, so you being able to you might probe like, oh, well, what do you mean? Well, you actually been able to have that. Like how would that actually feel? Right? So it's like we have a little bit more tangibles before we get to that feel question.
And have that private, authentic quality relationship with that can keep you company and, share these experiences with you. How would that feel?
That would be satisfying if I had it again. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay.
Okay, because like and like so that's a it's a lukewarm response that he did. Like yeah, I feel good, because like what we're, and just so you understand like what we're looking to get out of a question like that is we want him to pause, him to actually think about it. Like he's gonna look up and visualize what it would actually look like, and tell you that it would feel good. Like you can hear like there should be a shift in their voice. Like yeah, that would be great. Would it? Yeah, it would. Right? So like that's really what we're looking for right there. And a lot of that's going to come down to you making it more tangible. And it's like, oh, I'd want somebody to like travel with me, or things like that. Like, oh, like why is that? Like what would you guys be doing? Oh, we'll be doing this, and this. Oh, well, why is something like that important to you? Yeah, I know. Like, yeah, I definitely like doing that for sure. So, I mean, if you really had to sit down and picture it, visual. Like, if you looked in the future, you being able to do like have that picnic, out on the lake, in between your concerts, and really like, you know, be with that person who really enjoys you for your authentic self, like at that moment, like how would that actually feel? Now, again, I'm making it up because it's going to depend on like what he finds valuable. But if you see, like I'm getting it to a very specific visual place and asking how that feels, rather than it being a little bit more ethereal up in the air, because it's just not going to extract the type of like emotion that we're needing.
Okay, so if I'm understanding you correctly, you're really just coming in because you're in a good place in your life, but you just haven't had too much success recently with the woman being success, meaning like finding the quality partner that you're looking
That
for, finding
I
that
would say that's
authentic
accurate.
quality partner. And
That's accurate.
right now, like you're just wanting to see what you can do about it so you can eventually find that quality partner, and having that quality partner, like you said, would be so satisfying to share life with. Does that sum it up?
That sums it up, I think, very well.
Okay,
Okay.
awesome. So based on, what we've talked about today,
So I'm going to go ahead and skip the presentation here. Seems like okay.
okay, awesome. So how we'll do this.
So just be wary if you do say okay, awesome. Like whatever your tick is. Mine was always I guess, right? So just be, it's something to be conscious of. And the more you're conscious of it, the more you'll naturally just start to take it out. It can just come across as taking away some power or making your conversations a little bit more chunky than what they should be. Right? So less conversational.
Do this. It's over the course of 8 weeks, essentially, and you will be doing 12 one-to-one sessions. And then
Lost it. But yeah, there was one aspect of it that I thought, yeah, that could be beneficial, although I probably won't re-engage in the sort of online social thing. But I think it's fantastic. I don't think it's for me.
okay, why do you feel like it's not for you?
So, as an example, early on, you mentioned that, the idea would be to get me back out into social events and the kinds of things that I would need to do to meet the type of person that I'm looking for. And as I mentioned to you earlier, and it's not a number of people say to me very directly, yeah, you work too much or you're too busy really to date. So when you mentioned that, the very first thing that came to my mind is, wow, I probably go to 3 or 4 balls or social events or something like that. Not a week. That's a bit of exaggeration, but I do quite a bit that if I were assigned to do more, it wouldn't happen. It just wouldn't happen from a time standpoint. It just, and so I take the criticism that because it's true from people that say from women that say.
Yeah, so this one's definitely an interesting one, and it might come down to, again, once we start to understand like the type of like quality and what he means by that, and then that he is very active, like is like the type of quality woman that he's looking for at these events. Okay, and then if they are, what's preventing him? So if that's one of your pillars and he's brought that up a couple times, then you just need to ask the question of like, okay, are the women that you're meeting or at the women who are at these events, like, are they the type of quality you're actually looking for? And if they are, like, what's preventing you from being able to move things forward with the women who are of quality? And if they're not, would it be worth it for him to, instead of going to a ball or social event, we substitute that out with your help for an event that the women of quality he is looking for would be present. Okay. Now, a lot of this is just going to come down to because we didn't really find or dig ourselves into certain problems that there's just a lack of urgency there. So it's like we don't have a lot of leverage to get him to either change like what he's currently doing or for him to find the time. So I've like this, a lot of what's happening right now is more of a symptom of like the problem of not digging into the pain or not redirecting him to the thing that's actually important.
Yeah, James, you're wonderful, but you're just too busy to date. Okay, yeah, that, So when you were mentioning that, it's one of the first things that you said. I thought, yeah, that will be something that just won't be effective because I don't have simply just.
And then plus as well, if we were more like concise in the top half of solution awareness, something like this would have came up, and it would have been easier to get commitment that they're going to make the time, rather than just keep doing what they're doing now. And then how important is it for them to actually find that type of partner who can actually travel with them? Again,
just don't have the time.
Do you feel like when you do travel and stuff, like just when you go out and about, like when you see beautiful women, like just being able to integrate these skills in your day-to-day life would help?
Okay, yeah. Again, that hasn't been a problem for me, and that may surprise you. But yeah, that hasn't. Even when.
And so the problem is right now, so we're trying to solve his value concern without truly knowing what the problem is. So it's very hard to direct the conversation just because we weren't diving deep enough on his actual problem.
When they don't know who I am, that isn't a problem because I pretend like they should know who I am, and that's always I'm kind of thing, and it's always an icebreaker. So that hasn't been a problem. And so when you're mentioning about the skills, it's hard for me to answer because I don't know what the skills are. But from my perception, yeah, just going out and meeting attractive women I don't feel like I have an issue with that. And I think other people who don't really know me would also say I don't have an issue with that. But me, since like I say, I'm a personal person. I mean, a private person. The type of thing I'm looking for, I haven't found it yet. So that's a long answer to your question. I'm sorry.
No, you're perfectly fine. Okay, well, it was really nice to meet you, Jane.
Yeah, like at that point, and I do know you said like you're back to back with like 30-minute sessions. So again, like it can be tough because you're running up on time then. So a lot of it's going to be, just in the discovery process, finding the actual pain, finding what he's actually looking for. How is that different from what he has now? Because he's telling you like, oh, like I have no problem, meeting attractive women, but they're not what I'm actually looking for. So what is he looking for? What's preventing him from actually getting that? Preventing him from progressing those things forward? Why, like, what's actually causing him not to be able to escalate? Like, so we can get more tangible on the actual skills he doesn't have, what he's running into. So a lot of that is just, we allowed him to be surface level. And if we allow that at the beginning, then we're pretty much giving him permission to basically like not dive deep, kind of basically, I don't want to say lie, but just stay surface level, not be as straightforward as they need to be for you to solve their problems. And then like just subtle things like him taking the power, and then just like, oh, well, it's you guys, like putting the focus on you, like you guys are persistent, not really wanting to open up about his actual problems. So we just need to spend extra time, again, frame it in a way that he booked in the call, and then being able to ask the right questions to pull out his specific problems. That's what's going to get him to actually be able to open up. Okay. So if you have any questions on this, just go ahead and let me know, but we can dive more into it on our next session. But let me know if this was helpful.